We can't hear you, Doctor.
So can I share the screen now?
Dr. Heba, you are on mute. Could you please unmute yourself first?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So,
It
hello
happens.
everyone, and welcome to July webinar. Welcome to SIG July webinar. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Lotfi. Hello, Dr. Lotfi. We have been waiting a lot. Yeah, you see, and we've been planning a lot. You remember, Dr. Lotfi?
It's an honor.
We've been planning like for a month for
Yeah,
this webinar. We
probably
are
more than this.
eager to hear from you. All of us are
Yeah.
all ears to hear from you. So, guys, before starting the session with Dr. Lotfi, let's start by introducing the SIG and talking about the Nile TESOL. Today's session is entitled Integrating Technology in Providing Feedback on Writing. So let's introduce Nile TESOL special interest groups. Nile TESOL special interest groups are the lifeblood of Nile TESOL. They are the Nile TESOL tool to empower the teachers all over the country. Together, these groups provide the means to ensure greater participation of individual membership in our professional organization. These webinars and conferences or whatever are under the guidance of Mrs. Maha Hosni, the sixth chair, and of course Dr. Sanaa Makhlouf, the Nile TESOL president. So we have different SIGs. We have teacher education SIG, young learner SIG. We have testing and assessment SIG, professional writing, English for special purposes, literature SIG, research SIG, inclusive education, and finally, of course, our SIG learning technologies. So all these SIGs, as we said, are incorporating together to help and empower teachers all over the country. Today's session, as we said, is really special. Yes, we have one of the most knowledgeable, experienced, professional, and at the same time, he never actually says no for anyone who asks for help. He's so helpful, by the way. And when I asked him to give and
Thank
present
you
the
so much.
session,
Thanks.
wallahi, he said yes from the first time. Yeah, and he didn't say anything, but just he was really busy. But that's why we took time to arrange the session. So, Dr. Lotfi El Bagouri is a qualified and certified teacher trainer. He is a Cambridge Delta, CELTA, and trained the trainer, certified teacher trainer. He's also CELP and CELT-S lead tutor at Cambridge Assessment English. He's a TEFL tutor at Westminster College, London. He's also a product manager and educational consultant at level 4, for level 1. He works as a freelance teacher trainer. And in this session, we are going to talk mainly about how to provide feedback on students' writing using technology. The session starts with an introduction on how to move from traditional way of assessing students' writing to more advanced ways. Later, we will discuss how technology can be an assist in providing feedback. So without further ado, the floor is yours, Dr. Lotfi. And welcome again. But you can now share your screen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Heba. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Heba, for this introduction and for giving me the opportunity to be with all these wonderful teachers today to share my experience.
I think Dr. Lotfi. Dr. Lotfi, you are muted.
Okay, now?
Dr. Lotfi, just a minute. Dr. Lotfi, you are muted. Hello, you are muted.
Hello, hello, I'm
you are
not.
muted.
We can hear Mr. Lutfi.
No,
We can hear you.
we
Mr.
can
Muhammad,
hear you
yes,
well,
can we
Mr.
text
Lutfi.
him?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
So, hello and good evening to good evening.
Muhammad, can hear you.
Dr. Heba, give me the opportunity to be with you today, sharing my ideas and experience on this interesting topic. I think it is interesting and I hope you find it useful.
Yes, I know you cannot hear him. We are texting
So
him.
I would like to check that my voice is clear to all of you now.
Dr. Lotfi,
is my voice
you
clear
are
now?
muted. Hello.
No,
Yes.
Please.
I think Dr. Heba is having some kind of technical problems. Right, so I think she thinks that. Yeah.
So, Mr.
Yeah,
Muhammad,
sure.
can you hear me? Can
all
all of you hear
well.
me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
His voice is clear?
Okay. So fine. Okay. So
just a second.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Mr. Lutfi. Okay. So
Okay,
let me answer now. Yeah.
fine. So I will
Yeah.
not repeat myself and I will not welcome you again. So I think you have heard me. And now let's start with a very short getting to know you activity. And I know that you are all familiar, or many of you are familiar with this kind of icebreaker or getting to know you activity, because some of you may not know me or may see me for the first time. So you can have an idea about me. So as you know, this activity, all these statements are true about myself. There are only three lies, three pieces of information which are not true. So I want you to have a look at these 11 statements and try to identify the three lies. Write the numbers of the three lies in the chat box. What do you think? Maybe smoker. Yeah, number three. Why do you think so? Fine. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Well, right, I'm not a heavy smoker. I'm not a smoker at all. Yes, this is right. This is not a true information about me. This is a lie. So number three is okay. No, this is true. True. This is true. I have no siblings at all. I have no brothers or sisters, unfortunately. So four is true. Number six, unfortunately, it is true. Yeah, microphobic. So we have three. What else? Eight. Yes. Yes, Rana. Good. Eight is a lie. I'm not a Sagittarius. I'm a Libra, actually. Fine, because I was born on 26th September, which means that I'm a Libra. Fine. Number 10, 10, 10. Yes, 10 is a lie. I'm not flat footed. Okay, but apart from these three, number three, number 8, 3, 8, and 10 are lies. Apart from this, all the other information are or is true information about me. Now, would you like to ask me any question about true information? Do you have any questions? You can ask me in the chat box. I will give you one more minute. Number one is true. 45. I'm not 55. So now, yeah, go to Delta in Istanbul. Yes, right. For level one, I'm a product manager for level one, and I'm a freelance teacher trainer. I work also for Cambridge assessment as a tutor, a CELT-P, CELT-S lead tutor. I also work for Westminster College, London, as a TEFL tutor. I finished my Delta in 2020. Yes, 2020, so a couple of years ago. Well, okay, so now let's start our topic. And as you know, the session objectives today, I will show you the session objectives. So to raise awareness of the different approaches of written feedback, to provide alternatives to the traditional ways of giving written feedback, to learn about some practical strategies and techniques to integrate technology into written feedback. And actually, I have chosen this topic because I think that this is a very important one, or a very important issue that we have, or what that we usually face from, or that a lot of teachers ask questions about how to give written feedback in a very effective way, apart from the traditional way of giving students or correcting errors and mistakes using the red ink to underline question marks and this traditional one. This is why we have this session today. Okay, so before we start, I will show my screen, give you a kind of a simple task. I will stop this screen sharing. Okay, so just a second.
So, Dr. Lotfi, I just want to apologize for what happened. It was my problem. I cannot hear you. It was my problem. I'm sorry for this technical issue. I'm really
No
sorry.
problem,
I'm really
no
sorry.
problem,
But I
no
just want
problem at all.
to tell them
It's
till you
okay.
get ready that there is good news. There is a good news that at the end, inshallah, of this session, you will get certificate of attendance. But there will be a short quiz that you have to answer at the end of the session. So please stay tuned till the end of the session. You will be sent a link for a quiz to answer, and if you answer the quiz, inshallah, you will take your certificate.
Inshallah. Look at this handout. You have asked students to write a cover letter to apply for their dream jobs. You read this piece of writing, one of you students read it, and decide number two, after you read this email or this cover letter, what techniques can you use to help students improve this piece of writing? Then think of one way, at least one way, to integrate technology into providing feedback in response to this place. You don't have to share your answers, you don't have to share your ideas, you only need to think about the two tasks for 3 minutes. Okay, so only think, don't share your ideas. Okay, so the cover letter, you ask your
Dr.
students
Lutfi,
to
excuse me, you don't share your screen.
it's not shared. Are you
Yeah,
sure?
yeah, I'm sure.
So, okay, let me check again. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, right. Share screen. So I'm sorry for this. Okay, so now can you see the screen now?
Yes, doctor. Yes.
Yes, fine. So you have the your task A and task B. Don't share your answers. A disastrous cover letter. Yes. One more minute to think. Okay, now I want you to please to take a screenshot of this handout of this task because we will send it to rooms to discuss screenshot to refer. So please take a screenshot. Okay, now I will send you to breakout rooms so you can discuss. Please, again, don't forget to take a screenshot and discuss all the issues or the clear issues in this cover letter, and then think of how to give feedback on it. Okay, now breakout rooms, are you ready? Write one if you are ready. Write one in the chat box if you are ready to breakout rooms. Good.
So they will be in the breakout rooms for how many minutes, Dr. Lotfi? For how many minutes?
For just 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, so guys, you will be invited to the
Please
breakout
join
room
the breakout rooms.
Yes, for 5 minutes.
Please join as soon as possible so that you have this with your friends, with your partners.
So for those who have just joined, the other participants are in the breakout rooms. They have a task, or two tasks actually, to do for 5 minutes. Hello, Dr. Muhammad Al-Adi. Hello. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Hello
It's my
from,
pleasure. Welcome all.
yes, it's hello from
Yeah,
South.
from the North
I'm in a
Yes, hello from
Coast.
seems
Sahel.
I'm in a breakout room.
Actually, they
Hello, Dr.
But
Mohammed.
I can never miss any training for Lotfi. Lotfi is great, never to be missed.
Yeah,
sure,
sure.
sure. He actually, most of them are there in the breakout rooms. They have a task to do, but they are about to finish. So just few minutes and they will be back. Mr. Muhammad, you are following the Facebook, right? Mr. Muhammad? Mr. Muhammad
Yeah,
Nabil?
yeah, sure.
I'm
Yeah.
following. Thank you. Thank you so much. What happened, Miss Asma? You said you were in room 7, but maybe because of your connection. Uh, can we send her again to room 7, Mr. Muhammad?
Okay. What's your name again?
Asma Magdi, right? Miss Asma Magdi. She's saying she was in room 7, but
Yes.
no
Room
problem.
7.
We are trying to send you again to
Yeah.
room 7.
Yeah. 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 I've just sent her now.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So for those who have just arrived here, the other participants are still in the breakout rooms doing 2 tasks. So they will be back in a minute or 2.
So just a few seconds and they will be back.
أيضا الحقيقة في
Hello and welcome back to the main session. Interesting discussions in the breakout rooms. I enjoyed that. So now I would like
like this, because it should be having this kind of academic writing. The first paragraph one
Excellent.
paragraph about qualifications, the second paragraph about professional experience, the third paragraph to summarize what you have, you sell your abilities or potentials, and you share the requirements of you read and you write them in one paragraph. So this is not actually the right way the right way to write a cover letter here. As for the technology, the technology that I can suggest when writing the process of feedback itself, I suggest, and we have discussed in the breakout rooms many ideas about this. The first one, to suggest or provide my learners with a web page or a website having model cover letters to study. They can read a model cover letter, study it, and get them to self-correct after reading the model cover letter, and they improve or provide a second version of this cover letter and come back to me. I can support them and provide them with further feedback if it's developed or improved or still having some mistakes to correct, that sort of thing. One colleague of mine said that one good idea is to write the cover letter using the internet from scratch, writing it electronically. So using, for example, Google Forms, and they hand it to me, and I correct the mistakes, underlining some patterns, and providing some, boxes having the corrected items and that sort of thing. These ideas actually we discussed at large in that breakout rooms. So that's all as far as I'm concerned. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much. This is very interesting. Excellent answer. I liked a lot of your ideas. Yes, very good. So any other ones? Do you have anything different from what Ms. Marwa said? Okay, let me finish. Okay, the last one up, Mr. Abdullah Al-Husseini. Go ahead, Mr. Abdullah.
Hello, how are you, Mr. Dr. Lutfi?
I'm good, and you?
Fine. It's an honor to me to be here and have a chance to be with you
Honor
all.
is mine. The honor is ours. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
First of all, I will show, or I will make this letter on the board. I will make the students give feedback to his or her colleague. Okay.
Yes.
I will make students make feedback.
So you mean some kind of peer feedback, so they look at
peer
each
feedback,
other.
Yeah. And at the beginning of the session, I will make a model. First of all, I will make a model on the board, and I will, when I give a feedback, I will tell the students that we have informal and formal ways. So your writing is informal, and we cannot use informal in writing. And also he also has grammatical mistakes and spelling mistakes, but I will not use my red pen when I correct. Yes. And we can use technology as our session about integrated technology on giving feedback for students online. So we cannot they can lose their confidence.
Yes, great. Okay.
That's
so
it.
Interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So I know that many of you want to share their ideas, but because we are short of time, we need to give kind of feedback on what you have just discussed. Very interesting ideas. And what I like most about your ideas for the discussions that you have had in the breakout rooms is that you don't only focus on the cover letter as an editor, because there is a difference between a feedback provider when he looks at something as an editor and as a reviewer. And this is the difference. When you look only at punctuation, problems, grammatical mistakes, spellings. This means that you take the attitude of an editor. So just correcting mistakes. But as I heard from you in the breakout rooms and now in this discussion, that you also focus on the organization, on the content of the cover letter, on the style, whether this should be formal or informal, and this is great actually. And this takes us to the difference between two types of responding to students. I will change the screen so that we can discuss while we are sharing the presentation. So just a second, and we'll complete.
Excuse me, doctor.
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah.
Just seconds to share the screen again. Yes. Well, as I said, this discussion takes us to the difference. Can you see the screen? Yes, fine. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can
and
see.
This takes us to distinguish between two types or two approaches of looking at pieces of writing in classroom, which are responding or responding versus correction. So when we respond to a student's writing, we think of the content, not only of punctuation, the concord or subject-verb agreement. We don't focus on only punctuation, grammatical mistakes, spelling, or some. This is what we call or what we mean by correction. But when we think or we respond to students' writing, we think about the content. In writing. So for example, if you look at this kind of correction, what do you think the effect, this is a very traditional way of giving feedback on writing, what do you think the effect of this feedback on the students? I want one word to describe the effect on the students of this kind of feedback in the chat box, please. Yeah, it's frustrating. Yes. Yeah, it is demotivating. So do you think that the students, after the students receive this, their piece of writing covered in red ink, do you think that's motivated to write again? The next time they will wish to write? Of course not, they will not wish to write. One more problem of this kind of feedback is that the teacher underlined the mistake and provided the correct answer. And this means that the student who wrote this composition or this paragraph, he will not have the chance or the opportunity to correct himself. And if you as a teacher give him the opportunity to correct himself, you change it or you turn it, the feedback from assessment tool to a learning experience. The students learn while they are getting feedback. So if you decide to underline, go and give him the chance to think what the problem is, he will think about the verb tense. What is a different way? What is an alternative to this? Let's see. Now let's look at this way of giving feedback on the same piece of writing and on the same approach, correcting, editing. So what do these symbols mean? P?
Punctuation.
Yes, punctuation. Excellent. Yes, what else? VF, what does it mean?
Verb form.
Yes, fine. What else? S, what does S mean?
Spelling.
Excellent. Yeah, spelling. So is there a difference between this way or this technique and the other one? Is this much better in terms of motivation for the students or not?
Yeah, for sure. It's much.
In them.
Yes, it has two advantages, or this technique has two advantages. What are they? Can anyone share the ideas with me?
Yeah.
Could you please raise a hand so that we don't speak over each other? Just raise the hand and I will let you answer, please.
I already raised my hand.
Fabian, huh?
Okay. The first one is that it motivates the student to see what are his bad things that he did in the topic, and he's gonna try to find out the mistakes and to recorrect it themselves. Okay,
Yes.
He will know that this is punctuation. So he will know that he must put a punctuation mark in this point, or the spelling of this word is incorrect. So he's gonna search for the correct word, the correct spelling for the word. So it's a kind of motivating for the student to do it himself. And
Excellent.
it also it isn't frustrating like the other one, because the teacher here is just focused on the content of the writing type. So he's gonna just he's paving the way for the student to write more and more, and the students will be able to write more in a right way in order to please their teachers, not frustrated that they won't do it.
Very good. Yes, I can see someone saying that we should use another color. Yeah, it's better to use a different color from the red one. It should be better to use it. And I heard this in the discussion too. Yes, very nice. So it has two advantages. It's more motivating than the previous one. So students are not intimidated or discouraged by the proliferation of the red ink all over the page or all over his writing. And also it gives the students an opportunity to think about the mistake. Now the mistake is punctuation. What kind of punctuation mistake did I have or have I done? So now have I made? So now he is focusing and trying to find the answer, to correct himself, which means that we are turning the feedback from an assessment tool to a learning or a positive learning experience. He learns while he is getting feedback. Okay, so what do we call this kind of technique? What do we call this technique in which we use codes or symbols?
Yeah, maybe these techniques are writing codes.
We call it something like that. Yes, very close to the answer.
Corrections
It can be
codes.
called correction codes.
Correction
Yes,
codes.
excellent. Correction codes. Yes, very good. And this term has appeared in Harmer's How to Teach Writing, and it's a very interesting resource. If you would like to have it, you can find it online or wherever you can get it. It's very interesting. Okay, so this is correction code. But one thing that I want to emphasize when we use this technique is that you need to make a kind of agreement between you and your students before using this technique. Students need to be familiar with what the codes refer to. And if they involve in the agreement or the discussion how or what to make, or the symbols, making the symbols itself, kind of making between you and the students, they will be more motivated to involve with this technique. Okay, so this is correction code. So correcting is the stage at which we indicate that something is not right, is not correct. We correct mistakes like punctuation, as I said. Okay. Fine. Yes, it is suitable for lower grades. Once you agree with your students, you open a discussion with your students and tell them when you write P, familiarize them with the technique when you write P. When I write P, this means there is a punctuation mistake, whether it is full stop, whether it is question mark, whether it is capital letter, something like that. Once students are familiar with this technique, they will be able to adapt to it and use it effectively. Okay, so this is one of the maps for this kind of, or for this technique, the symbol and meaning and example error, so students can, and you can use this in Google Classroom, for example. If you use Google Classroom with the students, if you use Google Drive, whatever applications or whatever platform you use with your students, you can the students to refer back to. If they forget what the G means, they can refer to it and find out that, yeah, this is a grammar mistake. When they know what WW means, this wrong word, like this. Okay, so this is one way. Now, how to respond? With responding means that you look at the piece of writing as a reviewer rather than an editor. How to respond to the writing or to the student's writing? You discussed in the breakout rooms and with me now that the format or the style is different. and the organization is also different. When we respond to students' piece of writing, we kind of enter into an effective dialogue with the students, whether it is face-to-face or whether it is online, a kind of dialogue with the students about how to improve their writing. You can give them indication to what you liked about their writing first, kind of positive start. What I liked about your writing, for example, you started your, if he is writing a story, if he has written a story, you can say, okay, I like the way you started your story, it's interesting. You used the past forms for some verbs correctly, excellent. But why do you think you used only one paragraph for the whole story? Is it only one idea? Kind of dialogue between you and the students. This can be face-to-face in the class, or you can write this, and we will see the way to write this for the students. For example, as you can see, this is one example. So I enjoyed your essay. It is informative, but why did you start the essay with a story? Was there a better way to do it? When students look at these kind of questions, they are reflecting on their writing. They try to answer the questions and improve their writing. And I would like to ask you now about this kind of responding. Do you use it after the final draft or while students are drafting and redrafting the writing? What do you think? Well, I suggest that when you use this kind of responding, it is better to use it in the drafting stage. While students are writing the first draft, they send it to you via email, for example. You write these questions for the students. Students reflect on the writing, and they try to improve in the second draft or in the final draft. Another example for this responding. Okay. So this is related to the email that we have just read. And this is how the teacher gave the feedback. So he sent this to the students. So do you think the email should be formal or informal? You have started the email with a greeting. Could you make it more formal? So when the student sees a question like, are there 3 separate paragraphs? What will he do? He will go back to his essay or to his email and check, oh, there are no 3 separate paragraphs. He will understand that it should be, or the organization of this paragraph, or the paragraphing has an issue. So he will start correcting or making improvement to the email like this, okay? So this is one way of responding to the students in an effective way. And this also turns the assessment into kind of learning experience. Students learn while they are getting feedback. They will learn that there should be 3 different paragraphs. They will learn that the email should be formal. And here, using the type of questions, sometimes do you think email should be formal? It's kind of triggering the students' thinking. He thinks, he reflects. He asks himself about that. He goes via the Google Classroom or in his book and checks again, and this makes the experience very positive and useful. So let's talk about some more alternatives. So there are so many different techniques for to give when we give writing feedback or written feedback. So we have selective correction using marking scales, correction codes. We talked about this. Let's get back. Referring students to a dictionary or a grammar resource, ask me, reformulation, and remedial teaching. We will look at some of them deeply now. Yeah, this is what we call this. So we have task achievement, different categories.
Rubric, we call it the rubric.
Rubrics, good, okay. We can also call it marking scales. So we divide the mark into 4 scales, not only one scale. So if the student is not very good at grammatical range and accuracy, he still can get a high mark or a higher mark in task achievement or lexical resources, and so on. Well, like this. So you divide the score or the mark or the grade to the 4 by the 4 different marking scales, 2.5 for grammar, for lexical resources, like this, marking scale. Selective correction. Have you ever heard about this? What do you mean by selective correction? Can you make a guess?
Yes, yes, we know.
Yes, could you tell me?
Okay, it's that we don't correct all the mistakes at once. We just focus on 2 or 3 kinds of mistakes for one time, all right? In order not to get the students demotivated or embarrassed or that sort of thing, okay? That's the idea. So even if the student has many mistakes, no, we focus on 2 or 3 for once, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much. The idea of this technique is that you decide not to correct everything. But the point here is that you need, again, to agree with your students, to tell the students that in this piece of writing, we will not focus on everything. We will only focus on, I think some of you may have turned on their cameras by mistake. So please be careful. Yeah, so now selective writing is that you agree with your students, and this is very important, this is crucial, that you agree with the students. This time we will not focus on grammatical mistakes at all, we will only focus on punctuation. This means that the students will give more attention to punctuation, or more attention than other times. So he will focus on punctuation, which makes him or which improves him in this area of writing. Or this time we will not focus on grammar, on spelling, on whatever, only ideas. I want you to think only of good ideas. Or we will only focus on the organization and the style. So be careful about the organization of the email or the style. And we usually use this technique when we find or when we see or we think that our students for this particular class has a problem with organization. And the style. So we say, okay, this time we'll focus and give him some kind of remedial or give him some kind of presentation, short presentation about the organization and the style, then give him the piece of writing, focus only on organization and style, don't correct anything. You may also like to choose to correct only one paragraph or focus only on one paragraph. So the essay has 4 paragraphs, we will only focus on paragraph number 2, not any other thing. And we will correct everything in paragraph number 2. This is also another option. Okay, so what do you have any question about selective writing or selective correction? Fine. Well, next one. And again, your students need to know. Students are also to be involved in the decision making. That why will we focus on organization? When they engage in this discussion before the assessment or before they write, they will, first of all, they will be more motivated because they shared or they took part in the decision making or in the making the decision. And the second thing is that they will focus on the area that you want them to improve in. Yeah, reformulation. I think Miss Marwa talked about this without mentioning the name when she discussed in the beginning of after the breakout rooms. She mentioned something like for reformulation. It is a kind of reproduce students to compare between their versions. Asking students to compare their versions or the correct version with the incorrect one. And through this comparison between the correct and the incorrect, students not only know what is right and what's wrong, they also learn what is the correct way to do something. This is called what? Reformulation. Reformulation can be or can take place at the level of sentence. It can take place at the level of a whole paragraph or a whole piece of writing. For example, if I have received the same email or the same cover letter, I may, after asking students, send me the email, the cover letter via email, and then I rewrite it and then send it to him, then ask him to compare the two versions. Remedial teaching. What do you mean by remedial teaching? Any ideas?
Yes, we give the students some sessions on the
I think this is Miss Marwa. Miss Marwa?
No, Nisreen.
Nisreen. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes, no problem.
We do the remedy work or the remedy teaching for those students who do mistakes all the time in some points. For example, if he's writing every time and he has grammatical mistakes, so we give them some sessions in order to just to make a remedy for these points, to give them the way how to rebuild this or reform these mistakes and do it better than before, and how to avoid doing that grammatical mistakes again. So it's a kind of like fixing all the bad points that we have.
Well, interesting. So let me ask you, Ms. Nisreen. So if you have one of the students and he's repeating the same mistake all over the email, so he makes the same, for example, grammar mistake, verb form is incorrect in the whole email. So will you do remedial teaching? One student.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. For one student, but yani, you know, the students feel embarrassed if you talk him like this and you just told him that every time you do this mistake, don't do it. So I can do it for the whole class, not for
but if the whole class, if the whole class don't have the same problem. So if you have a class, all the class don't have any problem with verb forms, but one student.
I know, but yeah, just refer to the mistake during a session in order not to embarrass that student himself. In order not to say that you do this mistake every time. So I just give hints like that during every session, so he will get it.
Okay, thank you so much.
And if he insisted on doing it, okay, it's sure I'm gonna talk with him personally.
Yes, yeah, very good. The last sentence was very, very important. And what I would like to differentiate between two things, remedial teaching and micro teaching. So remedial teaching is when you notice that most of your students in the same class produce the same mistake or have the same issue. So in this case, you do remedial teaching because all the students or most of the students have the same problem. So they need some kind of teaching. They need presentation. So you go into the class and you produce or you show the students some of the mistakes anonymous without telling or without mentioning the names of the students, and say, okay, what do you think of these sentences? Which of these are fine and which of them need some improvement or have issues? Then let students discuss together. Then you tell students or you give feedback on what they say. You try to produce the correct forms or to tell students what was wrong and why and what was correct. This way is remedial teaching. But if you have one student, only one or two students, or even a group of students, 3 or 5 students among 50 students, so you go for micro teaching. So this group, you can talk to them in, if you are in online mode, you can use the breakout rooms, assign these 4 or 5 students to one, and this is what we call micro teaching. Okay, but do the remedial teaching for the whole class if you notice that all the students make, or most of the students make the same mistake. Okay, so now how to integrate technology or how to use this through technology. So there are a lot of different ways to do the same. I want to check the time, but okay. So we don't have a lot more. So using email. So when you ask students to write the cover letter or write the essay, write the story, and send it to me via email, and then you add comments. And do you know how to add comments when you have a piece of writing like this? I will. Okay, let me change the screen and show you how to do this. So imagine that you have.
You highlight the piece of writing you want to correct.
Yeah, there is an option in the word process. You add a comment, right? And you write what you want to write. So again, I will show you the screen and tell you how to do this. So for example, again, this one. Share the screen again. Yes. So can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Yes. So if you want to comment on hi, so for example, you make like this, you highlight it, and then you comment. So you add your comment here. Okay. For example, you say formal or informal. So this way you give students indication to what problem he has with the sentence, and give him also the chance to correct himself. So this is through email and using electronic comments. Okay. So let me get back to the presentation. Okay. Fine. So this is about the electronic comments. Also, you can use checklists. And checklists are very important when we talk about, yes, we can use Padlet too, we can use a lot of applications, actually. So you can use checklists if you are using a platform like Google Classroom, so you can add this checklist for the cover letter, for example, since we are talking about the cover letter. And this checklist includes everything about how to write a good or an effective cover letter. Students can refer back to it whenever they want, and whenever they write the cover letter, let them get back to the checklist and evaluate or assess your own writing, self-evaluation or self-assessment. So he refers back to the checklist and he corrects himself, he makes improvement on his writing. Have you ever used checklist? It's not only useful in giving feedback, but it includes all the rules and conventions of writing this genre, for example, the cover letter. Okay. You can also use writing editors or writing editing applications like Grammarly and Writable. So a lot of different applications that you can use. You only need to now it's 8:30. I think the time is wrong. Okay, so all you need is to help students, give students tutorials on how to use Grammarly or Writable. So you and after they finish, okay, now go use Grammarly to check your composition, and then get it back to me to check again. Okay, so using applications like this. And now I think it's time for questions and answers. Right, Dr. Heba?
Yes, Dr. Lotfi, thank you so much for such informative and insightful session. So guys, now it's time for your questions and answers. So would you please type your questions here in the chat box?
Yes, please type your questions in the chat box.
Actually, they are writing that they loved the session and they are thanking you. Maybe no questions. You covered like everything while explaining, mashallah.
Thank you so much.
One of the questions here, how much time does Delta take? Can we just postpone such questions till at the end? We'll start. Let's focus. I think they want to have like an interview with you, like a person.
Yes, right. Okay.
But guys, let's focus on the session. And if you don't have any questions, we can go for
Thank you so much.
questions.
Yeah, please, questions about the session.
And then we are
writing feedback.
Yes, so they are thanking you. All of them are expressing.
Thank you so much.
Yes, fruitful session and informative. Well, one question here is feedback is very important. It should be related to the lesson plan objectives. This is what I don't think it's a question, but it's a note or a
It's
remark.
not a question, yeah,
It's
it's a
only a note or
contribution.
remark. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mustafa, for such a note. Could you recommend a book to help us teaching and writing? This is
Yes, sure. We have a lot of interesting books, but I would recommend Harmer's How to Teach Writing. Very, very nice book.
is suggesting one book for you to teach writing.
Jeremy Harmer, of course. Interesting. There is another book called Process Writing, but I don't think it is very useful. It's a bit complicated.
So one of the books that Dr. Lutfi suggested is How to Teach Writing for Harmer.
Yes.
One of them is asking for the PowerPoint. Is it okay for you, Dr. Lutfi, to share it with them?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, inshallah,
Yes.
we can share it.
Inshallah.
We can share it.
Yes.
Can we use these applications in correction of theses and dissertations at university? Another question from Mrs. Riham. You are talking about Grammarly? You are talking about Grammarly and Writable, Mrs. Riham? Is this your question? Mrs. Riham,
I can't see the question.
The question is academically, can we use this application in correction of thesis and...
Yeah, it helps. Yeah, it helps.
You're talking about Grammarly and Writable, right?
Yes, I think Writable is more trustworthy.
Grammarly.
Writable more trustworthy?
Yes, Writable, yes. but Grammarly again for thesis and dissertations, I don't think it's that accurate unless you have the paid version, of course.
Yeah, paid version.
For dissertations and thesis, you can check. I'll type it here. Turnitin. You can check Turnitin. It's more accurate. Turnitin. Or Authenticate. Turnitin is more accurate for dissertations. Yes. Another question here.
About the quiz. You're asking about the quiz for the certificate, yeah.
Okay, the last question here, how to make the feedback suitable for children?
Yes, as for children, you can use the same way, but it is a matter of familiarizing students. You need to familiarize students with the technique that you are using. For example, if we are talking about the correction codes, if you familiarize students, whether they are children or whether they are adults, it doesn't make a big difference. But since they are familiar with the codes, they will be able to do this. Reformulation, for example, if you familiarize or if you train your students on the technique that you are using, it will be okay for whatever the level is or whatever the age group is.
Yes. So thank you so much, Dr. Lutfi. It was
thank you so
amazing,
much,
incredible. Well, we cannot find suitable adjectives to thank you so much for your session.
Thank you so much.
And guys, here is the link to the quiz. You have time till 11:59 p.m. to finish it tonight. Not more than this. This is the link of the quiz. You can just finish it and just give us like 1 week, because actually we have a huge number here of attendees. We have like 98. So give us time. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. It's all thanks to your knowledge.
Thanks for you, Dr. It was a pleasure, actually.
It's our pleasure and our honor and our privilege, wallahi, to have you here with us today. So guys, here's the link for the quiz, and you have time till 11:59 p.m. tonight, to finish it. And any other questions for Dr. Lutfi before he leaves? Yes, the last question for Delta, the one who was asking about Delta. Yes.
How much or how long?
How much? No, how long? Let it be how long? How much we're gonna spend?
How stressful?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a big question. Well, Yeah, about how long it takes, it depends on your commitment. Some people take it to take 2 years, some people take 3 years, some people take 1 year. It depends on how much time you dedicate for the delta, whether you are free or not, whether you work part-time or full-time. So it depends on your conditions. Not all the people do it at the same length of time, for example. But for me, I took around 10 months, like this, 10 months, doing the 3 modules.
Yes, okay. Another question, can I take Delta without Celta?
Yes, yes, you can. No problem at all. A lot of people did Delta without Celta.
Okay, the last question here. What is the most important point that makes you more different and special in teaching? Wow, what a question.
Passion, passion. If you
Passion.
are passionate about what you do, yes,
Definitely.
passion. If you are passionate about what you do, you will find yourself dedicated, committed. You will read a lot because you like what you do. You will attend webinars and workshops like that because you like what you do. You will visit your friends in school and give them feedback because you like what you do. You will invite friends to come to you and give you feedback because you like what you do. So passion is the key word when it comes to becoming a different person.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Lotfi, for your time. Actually, I know that you are busy nowadays, but thank you so much for giving us some of your time to be with us today. And guys, it's a promise from Dr. Lotfi. It's not the last time to be with us here.
Sure, sure. It will not be the last time.
We will have you more and more, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you guys for being with us. And Dr. Lotfi, the last comment for you, you are a twin of my friend. Okay. Okay, they don't want to leave, Dr. Lutfi, so we have
Wow.
to we have to end
It's
it.
interesting comment, yes.
Yes. Okay, so thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Mr. Muhammad is sharing the link for the quiz again, and thank you, Dr. Lutfi.
Yeah, I've just sent it here.
Thank you.
I will have to leave now because I have a TEFL session.
Yes,
So
sure.
I will have.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Mr. Lotfi. Yes, and thank you, Mr. Mohammed Nabil, for being with us. He was doing like everything on Facebook and moderating.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad. Yeah, so nice to have you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. It was my honor to be with all of you today.
Have a great night. See you, inshallah, next webinar with LT6. Thank you, Dr. Lotfi. Thank you.
Inshallah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, sure. The recording will be sent.
Yes, guys. Yes, we're gonna send the recording. No worries. Just we will we'll finish it and we'll upload it to our channel on YouTube, or maybe a Drive link. We will check and we'll send it to you, inshallah. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for being with us today, and see you next webinar, inshallah. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad, for being with me today.
You're welcome.
Yes, let's end it. They don't want to leave,
Yeah.
guys. But we're done, Mr. Muhammad. Let's end it.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, sure. You will have the certificates once you fill in the quiz. Yeah, once you
are
complete.
done with the quiz, but please, yes, please. There is a deadline. There is a due date. It's tonight. Yes, please finish it tonight. Thank you. Okay. See you all.